Hello boys and girls, welcome to another episode of FoulkesBrau. It's Sunday the 29th of March 2020 and we are in day 3 of our lockdown. Surprise, surprise, our news agencies don't really work well over the weekend. So if you believe what they're saying on the radio, we've basically added another 11 cases to yesterday's tally of infections. But if you also listen to what they're saying, it's based on their test results. It seems either way. I don't know if they're running out of tests or they're just not testing enough. So we'll really only get a count tomorrow. Worldwide, this thing seems to be going very badly, especially in the States. The infection rate is snowballing. So all my viewers in the States, stay home, guys, and be safe. Really, there's not much I can say about it. Not much news. One thing I can say about my own sanity is I've grown sick and tired of Netflix. There's only so much rubbish you can watch on it. So I've started watching a lot more YouTube videos again, and I quite like YouTube video. I like the scientific stuff. And what is interesting to watch is two of the guys I quite enjoy, Electrickery and Diode Gone Wild. All of a sudden, within 2 days, they are releasing or talking about the same topic, whether it's use of Tesla coils for spark gaps or transmission. It's actually quite entertaining. So I'll put a link in at the end of the video. Very entertaining, guys. Depending what sort of field of electronics you like, quite good. Today on the bench is a nostalgic repair. It's a friend of mine. It's a car radio, and I don't normally play in car radios. It's not my sort of scene. But it's a really old Becker, and she tells me it's just started working intermittently and sort of gave up the ghost. And it's a really old Becker, and it came up with a Honda. I think it's the 2000 series. We'll confirm it when we get it on the bench. And it's got really sentimental value for her, so she wants it restored because it came with a car, and she thinks it will add to the car's value. Like I say, radios are not really my thing. So what I'm going to do, I will take the covers off and everything, so we save a bit of time, and we'll have a look inside this car radio and see what we can see. A word up front: I don't do radio alignment. The chances of the radio alignment having gone out on this thing are very minimal, but even if I had to do radio alignment, I don't have the equipment to do it at home. I don't keep that sort of equipment because it's stuff that I would use very rarely for what I do in my professional career, and the repair at home is just more of a hobby. So to keep that sort of equipment is really not worth it for me. So let me take the radio apart, or let me take the covers off and whatever, and then we'll have a look at it on the bench and take it from there. Right, so here we have our Becker Europa 2000 car radio on the bench. I have managed to find some sort of connection diagram for this and some vague schematics that seem to be generic to these models. Really not much to this. If we lift it up, it's an old cassette player. Yeah, not much on the front. Not much to it. If we have a look on the back, okay, really, yeah, nice fuse, aerial input, power connector and speakers. what we're really interested in is obviously going to be this power input connector. And what I have seen from the owner's manual, and unfortunately these are all Torx screws, so from right to left up here, the first pin ground terminal, second pin is what they call switched plus, third terminal lighting terminal, and the last terminal over there permanent plus. So what we can do as well, I've just taken this off. Let's just pull it out. There we go. So what we really want to do is connect onto that back, connect power onto that back terminal with my bench power supply. Unfortunately, I do not have one of these type of connectors, one of these Molex type connectors. What I can do, maybe I can move this shield a little bit away, move the connector away from the shield, and either solder on into there. Otherwise, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to measure continuity from here to different parts on the board, and hopefully we'll find the power points, and then we'll just solder some leads on, and then we'll get it hooked up to my bench power supply. So I think that is going to be the easiest way to do it. Yeah, I really think that's going to be yeah. Let me measure these pins out to different parts on the board. I don't like that because I'm bypassing the fuse, but that's not an issue because I'm going to limit the current on the bench power supply anyway. Let's measure it out and let's see. And otherwise, if it's easy enough to just separate the shield a bit, I'll do it that way. So let me set the shot up for that. Right, so what I've done is I've soldered these little leads on here just to make it easier for us by measuring from the connector to the board and seeing which pin is what. Black and red obviously our positive and negative supply to the radio. Our orange wire is what they call the switched terminal. I suppose that's what switches it on. And the yellow is what they call the lighting terminal, so probably for the LCD backlight. So what I'm going to do, let's just turn this around. I'm going to put this top board back in. I'm going to hook up these wires to our bench power supply. We'll connect the positive and negative, and slowly one by one we will switch the other ones in and see what does this radio do. Is it the radio that's faulty, or is it my friend's wiring that is faulty? So let me get this board back and let's see what it does. Right, here we have our radio connected up. You can see going to the positive I've got obviously the plus supply, the backlight, and the standby, and then on the negative I've got the negative. So I'm just going to wind you up to the power supply, and I want you to see what I see. Right, we can see on our power supply. That's a brilliant thing with this. I I can set the voltage output that I want. I can limit the current. In this case, we're limiting it to half an amp, 12 volts. What we can see is our output to the radio, 11.996 volts. It's pulling 214 milliamps or 0.214 amp, roughly 2.5 watt. Now, the radio technical spec says current consumption approximately 0.23 or 230 milliamp when the radio is switched off, which it is in this case. So our current draw close enough to the 230 milliamp. It does say it will pull about 310 milliamp in the case of radio operation. Okay. Now what is interesting, I want you to watch there. I'm going to switch the radio on. You see it jumped up to 300 and went straight down to 200. Now if I jiggle, I'm sorry for bumping the tripod, let me just move it a little bit back. If I jiggle the switch, you see we're up to our current consumption, and the switch is actually now in the off position. So the switch is actually faulty on this radio, and there we've managed to switch it off. And we'll jiggle it a bit. Oh, come on, you just did it. Oh, sounds very flaky in the switch. It's not doing it for me. So either way, well, we found the fault. Our switch has probably now given up the ghost on me. Pity. But anyway, so we know the switch has given up the ghost. So what I actually have to do is take the front panel off the radio and see what sort of switch this is, and can we get a replacement for it. Chances being not great with this being an old radio, but who knows, maybe we get lucky. So yeah, interesting. Not much to these radios. For us it was a very simple, easy catch. Okay, we'll set up for the finishing shot and we'll take it from there. Right, that brings us to the end of another we'll have to order parts and wait video. For those of you that are accustomed to my channel, you know I would be having a beer normally in my videos, and normally I am. Just the microwave one, no, I don't like to mess around with power when I've had a beer or two. Today I'm drinking Lion Lager. I like it. They come conveniently in 750ml bottles, so you know, it suits me. Not much to this repair. Normally there's not. You normally would trace your power rails, see what it's doing, and take it from there. What I will do off the video, and we'll probably come back to it, is I will take the front end of this radio off. It's just a bit tedious to do on camera. We'll disassemble the switch if it's possible and see what if maybe it's a burnt contact or something in the switch. Remember, these radios work on DC, so DC has a high arc when it switches, even though it seems like it's a little bit of voltage. Your car battery, typical 12 volts, 14.75 with your alternator running. you can see it's pulling quite a bit of power, even when you just switch it on. 300 milliamp, 2.5 watts of power. That's with no modulation. The oscillator is not working. In other words, it's not tuned in. We haven't got the radio on because we haven't input the code. If we input the code and those parts of the circuitry kick in, the oscillator, so that you can tune the radio, so your reference oscillator to tune your radio to whatever radio frequency you want to listen to, then your radio really starts pulling power. And I think this one can go up to about 5 watts of power. So what I'll do is, off camera, I'll take the front end off and have a look at the switch, see if I can get a replacement. Otherwise we'll have to see if we can bodge one in. Either way, it'll make for an interesting follow-up. I couldn't be bothered to listen to the news today. I've tried since this morning, and the stats are just not coming in from South Africa, so it's not really worth my while. Interestingly enough, I've seen in my complex, clearly somebody's had enough and he's now walking around the complex to get in a bit of exercise. Personally, I've got nothing against it, but I don't think it's the right thing to do. If they've asked you to stay at home, stay at home. Drink beer, if that's your thing. Just, take it easy. Interesting enough, there's some twit on the radio. He's quite an irritating little fucking snot. I don't particularly like him because he's very opinionated. And some poor Tunny phoned in and she said she wasn't aware of this thing that they bought in South Africa about smokers, because obviously we've gone from 21 day lockdown. You're not allowed to buy booze, you're not allowed to buy cigarettes. I don't understand the logic behind it. Maybe because this thing can fuck your lungs up, but if you're a chronic alcoholic or a chronic smoker, I don't see how the fuck this is going to help you with locking you down. It's utter stupidity. The poor Tunny phoned in and said no, she wasn't aware about it, and now she has to sit this thing out. And this fucking moron's comment or retort back to her was, oh well, it's good for your lungs, tough. Now look, I'm a smoker and I've been a non-smoker. I've battled for a long time to try and quit, and I have my moments with it. But I mean, each to their own. I understand what it's like to crave the little bit of tobacco in that white roll. Each to their own. She's sitting at home. She's not fucking smoking in your radio studio. So have a bit of sympathy. If you make a chronic alcoholic stop drinking instantly, you would probably kill the bastard. So to our radio commentators out there that think they are holier than thou or have no vices, you know what, get off your high horse. This is a time where you need to be tolerant, understanding, and a little bit lenient. For crying out loud. So what if the person smokes? It's got nothing to do with you. And I also don't particularly understand the madness behind it, because even on the news I'm listening to reports of yesterday, they're still trying to shut down shebeens and fuck around with things like that. No, guys, be tolerant. I'm not saying open your shebeens and open the bottle stores and whatever, but I am saying stay at home. But we also have to understand other people maybe don't reason the same way. Tomorrow we're going to do something a bit different. We're going to do something more, how would I put it, work related, what I do in my professional career. So that's going to be quite interesting. We're going to look at a project I'm busy with for a mining group. I'll explain a bit more about it tomorrow, but we'll take you through the concepts of why do I do what I do, and why did I select what I did for the project, how do I put the design together, from the conception through a bit of the design work. I'm not going to go too much into the detail, and then to the high-end side of it, the actual control of it, what the end user actually sees, because the end user doesn't see electrons flowing through wires or wave patterns on oscilloscopes. The electron sees a nice fancy picture, and the end user gets to say, oh, I want this thing to start, or this thing must do this, and how we go about doing that. So until tomorrow, please take care, be safe, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers.